So today we're going to discuss the biggest Roth mistakes that we see so that you're not making the same mistakes too. Roth accounts have become really popular lately, and for good reason. For one, the current tax rates we're in right now is set to expire in a few years, and it's likely tax rates are going to go up. So people have been taking advantage of the Roth right now while tax rates are still lower and pay taxes on these lower rates. But while it's great that they're using it, we're seeing people make costly mistakes that could have been avoided. But first, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Thiago, and my team and I help federal employees make better retirement plans. And we made this channel to show what works well for the clients that we serve. So if you're retired or coming up to it in a few years, you can learn more about how to make a better retirement plan by subscribing to our channel for more videos just like this one. And if you want, you can go to our website and sign up for our free newsletter. On the website, we go into much greater detail about the topics we discuss here. All right, so let's jump in. Mistake number one, and we see this often, is not factoring how much time you have to convert. Now, there's two ways that this could become a problem. The first is someone who is just recently retired and maybe they're a little younger, say 62 years old. They have a lot of years to use Roth conversions before they're required to take minimum distributions, or RMDs. A big mistake we see is people who convert too aggressively in the early years of their retirement, meaning they didn't adequately spread out the taxes over the years that they had prior to RMDs. So this could mean that they're filling their tax brackets a little too fast and maybe being pushed to a higher bracket without realizing. And then they miss the opportunity of maybe paying taxes at a lower rate the next year or following. Now, on the flip side is someone who waited too long to do Roth conversions, and now they're stuck having to do larger chunks and possibly even having to push themselves into an even higher bracket. Now, someone in this situation is not actually minimizing their taxes. They're probably increasing their taxes by doing too much too late. Roth conversions are one of those things where you don't really want to compensate for missed time. You want to go up to however much your bracket allows and pretty much call it a day. Remember, you only have a finite number of years to convert at lower tax rates before your RMDs start, and then push your taxes back up again. This next graphic will illustrate how this works. The US has what we call a progressive tax system. That means that every dollar that pushes you past the next tax bracket is then taxed at the new higher rate. So if you're doing Roth conversions, you can immediately see how there's different zones in which it makes sense to do Roth conversions and some in which it really doesn't. So as a retiree starts to do Roth conversions, they begin in this lower rate depending where their income is, and eventually they reach this rate where maybe it's not the best rate that they could have converted in, but it's still acceptable. So back to our first example, people who do conversions a little too fast, they're pushing themselves past the green zone and into the yellow zone. And that can be okay, but you want to be careful how much you're converting here, because maybe if you had just waited a little longer, these rates might have actually been half within the green zone as well. And on the flip side, it's the same, right? Maybe they're doing conversions that are too high, that are pushing them past these levels, or maybe their RMDs have started, and obviously you're not going to convert then, but at that point your RMDs may push you into these bad rate levels or the red zone. Okay, mistake number two is failing to realize that paying taxes on a Roth conversion, if you're not careful, can cause more taxes on top. Retirees need to think carefully about how they're going to pay the taxes on any conversion that they do. A lot of people do the full conversion right up to their next bracket, and then they realize they don't have enough money to be able to pay the taxes and have to do another distribution. Well, that new distribution is now in a higher bracket, and that's what you need to be careful of. For example, let's take a family that has about $100,000 in income. That means they have about $90,000 in a Roth conversion before they hit that next bracket in 2023 joint tax rates. Well, if they do that full $90,000 conversion, they're now at the top of their next tax bracket. And if they have to take more money out of their retirement accounts to pay for those taxes, that means that that additional withdrawal is going to be taxed at this new higher level. So this is where we generally try and tell people, make sure you have some cash on the side in a non-retirement account that will let you pay the taxes on any conversions that you're doing. Another option is to also withhold taxes from the actual Roth conversion. So if $90,000 was going in as a conversion, you withhold maybe $25,000, and the net amount is what goes in the Roth with $25,000 going for taxes. But we generally don't recommend doing that. That means you're taking a hit on that tax deferred growth as well. And so if you can pay from it out of pocket from a non-retirement account, that is usually the best way to go. All right, the next mistake is both 3 and 4, which is failing to realize how this impacts both your Social Security and Medicare Part B. Social Security is taxed based off of how much income you have. Now, most of you watching this are not paying 0% tax on Social Security just by virtue of first pension and other income that you have. But some of you might actually be paying taxes on only half of it. Although the majority of you, especially if you're in the DC area or some of the more expensive metropolitan areas, like most of our clients are, we're talking about an 85% of your Social Security that's going to be taxed. This is something you need to take into consideration, especially if you're in this middle cusp. The other part of this is understanding if you're on Medicare Part B, there's something called the income-related Medicare adjustment amount. That figure increases the price of your Medicare premiums, and that price is dependent on how much taxable income you have. Well, if you're doing Roth conversions, you're increasing your taxable income. If your AGI moves past a certain point, you might get hit with hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, depending on if both of you are on Medicare, in additional premium costs. This is particularly important if you are on TRICARE. TRICARE forces you to take Medicare Part B once you turn 65 and you're retired. So make sure you factor this into your plan. Now, the next big Roth mistake that we see is not actually investing the Roth appropriately. Think of it like this. When you grow your money in a non-Roth account, there's taxes on that growth. It's either capital gains or income tax. So the more growth you have, the more taxes you're going to be faced with. So why not go for the most growth in the most tax efficient vehicle, which is the Roth? This is the kind of thinking that you need to have as you're planning next level retirement plans. And in this video on the screen, you can learn exactly how our clients have been successfully doing this with their portfolios. So make sure you watch that one next. So that's it for today, and you know what to do. If you like this video, leave us a thumbs up, and until next time, stay wise and stay wealthy.